Alrighty, so what is American greatness? Well, if you're a standard person, right, then American greatness is just an idea of American exceptionalism. But if you are a pundit, if you are a blogging website, if you are anything like that, then it's actually a website meant to piss off liberals for no reason other than pissing off liberals is okay. So we've got, right here, American greatness. They want me to get news the corporate media won't tell me. Turn on my browser for notifications. Generally speaking, when I see something like this, get the news the corporate media won't tell you. I have massive InfoWar vibes, and I hate it. So we're gonna poison the well real quick. We're gonna go American greatness, and we are going to do a media bias fact check. Before we get into anything, right? Let's take a look here. American greatness, you have a very right bias, almost to the extreme, and you have a mixed result for factual reporting. So this is functionally identical to Fox News, right? So we know what we're going to get into. We know that we're going to be getting into some absolutely fun argumentation. But before we get into that, I did say that I wanted to try to incorporate fan art into episodes going forward, and I'm going to be a little spotty with that because I'm trying to make it a habit. I've got a lot of streaming habits that I've got to break to make it happen. But I did remember right now. So first of all, we have a Scarecrow Suris from Ginger Bob, and that was actually posted over on Game Apologist server because this is in reference to Sunset City, which if you have not already subscribed to, it is a podcast I do with Game Apologist and Channel Pup, and it is a blast. We talk about Sonic the Hedgehog and just chill and vibe and yell at each other because none of us can agree with what Sonic games we actually like. With that said, let's go on to the next bit. This is from Raven Bluefeather. He said that they said that I'm going to hate them. They put my real face on top of my VTuber avatar, but honestly, this is one of the most cursed images I've ever seen, and I'm very tempted to make it a wallpaper, because it's just the right kind of cursed. And finally, we have Big Booba Suris from A Ghost T sent to me over on Twitter, and honestly, I just really like this style. This style is just great, and also the anti-gravity tits. It's just anti-gravity. There's literally nothing holding them up. I still have no idea how they're being held up. But with that said, thank you all for submitting your fan art. I'm going to try to get better about showing fan art as we go. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get right into the article, which is, I won't take the vaccine because it makes liberals mad. So, let's go ahead and see what wonderful argumentation somebody's going to have for putting others at risk by not getting vaccinated. Because while the CDC is not 100% on this yet, data is coming in right now that says that getting vaccinated actually can help stop the spread of the virus. In the early stages of the vaccine, it was being noted that it just stopped the symptoms of the virus, but apparently transference is affected in some measure. So now we're at the point where not getting the vaccine is not just dangerous for you, it is also dangerous for the other people you might have infected. Which is honestly great news, because that means vaccine is more efficacious. Now we've got people like this. Peter D. Abruska, probably saying that incorrectly. I also don't care. My newly formed and well-developed opinion on vaccines is this. If those bastards want me to get the jab, I'm not gonna do it, because it annoys them. So, imagine taking the political stance of pure spite that you would rather other people effectively get sick and potentially die merely because you want to annoy them. Let's go ahead and read the ways in which this is supported. I will never allow myself to be injected with Big Pharma's mass-produced mystery juice. So, let's go ahead and just say here, let's go ahead and see here ingredients in the Pfizer vaccine. Hi, honey. I love you.
One.
ingredients in the COVID vaccines. Oh, wow. Big Pharma's mystery juice. Let's see here. Okay, why is it because it's an ad? It's because it's an ad. Let's not look at the ad. I know it's from the CDC still, but I don't want to go searching through it. So, a breakdown of the actual ingredients in the vaccine. We have a breakdown of the lipids in the vaccine. We have a breakdown of the individual salts in the vaccine. We have public knowledge of the sugars in the vaccine. And this is for the Pfizer. We have the same breakdown for the Moderna vaccine. We have the same breakdown for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. What I'm trying to get at is Big Pharma's mass-produced mystery juice is just a fucking scare tactic. We know what's in these things. Holy fucking shit. He goes, in part because it was rushed out of the lab into the manufacturing line like a replacement for a Honda Civic's recalled airbags. So, this analogy is really fucking horrible. One, if you're comparing vaccine manufacturing to a recall, this requires something to have been fucked up first. And the closest thing to that was the Johnson & Johnson vaccine with the blood clots. But again, the amount of blood clots that actually were shown did not overtake what we would consider to be a safe amount in the first place. City Life, thank you very much for resubscribing with Prime. I very much enjoy getting Bezos bucks. If you have Amazon Prime and you have not subscribed already, you can use that for a free subscription. You can get access to all kinds of emotes, and I'm totally not saying that because I also would like money to survive and eat food. So, he then goes, it just wouldn't be prudent. As a healthy 29-year-old, my likelihood of dying from the virus is practically nil. So why risk the blood clots? Again, the blood clots happened in, what? A handful of people? 6, 7, 8? It was a nightmarishly small amount. A fraction of a percentage. The amount that is considered safe is like a chance of 1 in a million of you getting something, of you accidentally getting any issues, and usually that requires you, especially with the blood clots, requires you to have something that triggered them in the first place in most cases. So when somebody's going here, I might risk the blood clots. This is like people with the MMR vaccine going, I'm not going to give the MMR vaccine to my child. It might risk them getting the autisms, even though it didn't do that. But he goes, before anyone accuses me of murdering Granny, shouldn't she be immune to the virus if she gets the vaccine? So, information is that it doesn't make you immune to the virus. It makes it to where you have very severely diminished symptoms. That's not the same thing. And moreover, if your granny is also a conservative and also is trying not to get the jab to own the libs, then doesn't this mean that it would still kill her? Like, we could actually go here. Striker, thank you very much for the Prime subscription. We could actually do this with, like, a fucking Kantian imperative, right? So, let's go ahead and look up, for morality's sake, because I think people need to be more informed over what, like, morality actually is. And the different ways in which it can manifest. Okay. So, what is the categorical imperative? The categorical imperative is the ethics of the 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant. A rule of conduct that is unconditional or absolute for all agents, the validity of the claim in which it does not depend on any desire. Britannica, why the fuck? Well, I don't... No, I want to continue to the site. I want to read about philosophy. Go away. In the Ethics of Immanuel Kant, the founder of critical philosophy, a rule of conduct that is unconditional or absolute for all agents, the validity or claim of which does not depend on the desire or end. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that if we were to take this as just a moral framework, then anything you did should be valid in all circumstances, regardless of personal desires. So regardless of personal desires, the personal desire being pissing off liberals, would not taking the vaccine be a moral action? Well, the answer would be no. Especially because it requires Granny to operate under a different moral imperative completely, than the one that you have ascribed to yourself. Now, granted, not everybody agrees with Kant's moral imperative. There are issues with it, especially in that it is a clean and neat way of determining morality, and generally clean and neat moral frameworks have all kinds of holes. But I just wanted to throw out that there is one we can use to just kind of dunk on this for fun.
Whether that's actually true seems to be the topic of some debate. We'll have to follow the science, TM, then parse through its legitimacy relative to its political value for Democrats. That's a new step in the scientific method, before we can know for sure.
So wait, where does this come from? I like how the citation is themselves. A bad week for the science trademark. And it's from the same guy. He's just referencing himself. I'm not reading your self-referential bullshit.
If it turns out that the vaccine doesn't prevent infection, then there's no point in getting it in the first place, and I suppose we'll have to sew our masks to our faces for the rest of our natural lives.
Literally nobody is arguing this, and in fact, I'm fairly certain that vaccination rates go down. Hold on, no, it's infection rates. Infection rates go down after vaccinations. Let's see here. Let's see. That's a March 18 article from Nature, which would be good, but let's go ahead and take a look at live updates. Here's one from Healthline, but that's February 2nd. I'd like to get something a little more recent. Here we go. COVID live updates. COVID live updates. So an average of 1.5 doses have been administered over the past week. And then COVID-19 cases. Remember, this is recent. This is as of yesterday. Data is showing that as doses go up, doses going up, and then once doses peaked, we actually started to see this shit go. Oh, wait, no. These side by side is really weird. Okay. So the virus peaks in January, and our dosages start in January. And then as dosages increase, we have a steep decline of cases. Our cases go down drastically as doses go up. And then in April, where we get our peak here, the doses have a strict drop-off here as well. Or as our doses peak, we have a strict drop-off of cases. Almost as if vaccination helps lower the rate of COVID cases. Imagine being an anti-vaxxer. I think it's actually synonymous with being an idiot. He then goes to say,
maybe it's petty, but in truth, I really am not avoiding the vaccine due to potential medical complications. I'm not really avoiding the vaccine due to medical complications, or because of the speed at which it was produced.
Ah, right. So the reasons that you gave earlier were bullshit.
Personal liberty is not the reason I'm avoiding it either. I'm not a member of the Don't Tread on Me club, though I don't think mandated vaccine passports are a brilliant idea.
Actually, mandated vaccine passports are a good idea when you are trying to stop a vaccine from mutating. I could go ahead and give my reason why. The only way you can fight against it with an axiom called "ma freedoms." But no, just like in general, if you have a vaccine that prevents transference of a virus, and the virus, there's a twofold problem. It's not just could you infect Granny, right? I know I've said that on my channel before, but there's another giant problem you run into. The secondary issue is not do you infect Granny? The secondary issue is what happens when you let a virus transfer 1,000 times? That's 1,000 chances for a virus to mutate. Every single time it transfers, it has a chance of mutation. And every single mutation makes it potentially harder to treat and potentially more dangerous. So, actually, no. Vaccine passports are a good idea as long as they are temporary measures that are used specifically for the purpose of taking these things down. And don't engage in a slippery slope fallacy if you happen to stumble across this video and say, well, where does it end? I literally just told you where it ends. He then goes, my refusal to take the vaccine is not related to some perceived or real government overreach. I'm not here to take a principled stance against the federal or state governments on this issue. Ah, so I don't have to respond to you with logic now. Got it. In fact, I'm saving my principled stand against the federal or state government for issues that really matter, like strengthening libel laws so that lying journalists can finally be shipped off to Guantanamo Bay, where they belong. Lying journalists, huh? Boy, I sure hope the veil of ignorance doesn't fuck you in the ass. Talking about other moral frameworks we can use to dunk on people. Anyway, my primary reason for not getting the vaccine is much simpler. I dislike the people that want me to take it, and it makes them mad when they hear about my refusal. That makes me happy. Maybe it's petty, but the thought of the worst people on planet Earth, I feel as though you said this looking in a mirror without realizing it was in fact a mirror you were looking in. Those of whom I'd like to call the Branch Covidians, literally shaking as I stroll into Target, vaccine-free, making me smile. How would they be shaking as you stroll into Target, vaccine-free? How are they going to be able to tell? I'm honest. Honestly, truly. How would you tell if somebody is or isn't vaccinated outside of the fact that they're wearing a MAGA hat unironically in 2021? How would you figure that out? Allow me to emphasize my point. Before this pandemic, I had a grand total of 0 opinions on the issue of vaccines. I've never met an anti-vaxxer in my entire life, despite working in conservative politics, where, from my understanding, they can generally be found. Frankly, I don't know a thing about their movement. I thought vaccines were what kids took periodically to eliminate the risk of ancient illnesses like mumps, which can only be found today in illegal immigrants we're Oh my god! Really? You just had to shove in the xenophobia. You couldn't stop at, I'm a petty dickwad. You had to actually literally go into, mumps are found in the illegals. Like, dude, if we accept that America is a privileged nation and that vaccines are a good thing that us as a privileged people have access to, then disadvantaged people coming into our country where they will now have access to these vaccines is a good thing. Because them getting access to vaccines literally increases both the length and standard of their lives. And I am here for a utilitarian, net positive as far as human suffering is concerned. Net alleviation of suffering. Zozo, thank you very much for redeeming your... Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. Sneezesake Jiri just dropped in 1,500 bits. That person really loves to murder for pettiness' sake. I know, right? This is a guy who would literally just say, I do not like trailer parks, or the people in trailer parks, so I'm gonna fire a gun into the trailer park, and if it happens to hit somebody, so what? I don't care about murdering Granny. Literally, we're just using your topic and changing the way you hurt people. It's the same shit. Anyway, this guy literally has honestly said that his position is based entirely on ignorance. He had no idea how a vaccine even fucking worked before he got here. In fact, before the COVID-19 craze swept this nation, I devoted more attention to the liberal cause of preserving the sea turtle population than I did thinking about the vaccines. I like nature. So, wait a minute. Hold on. This little bit of projection here is somebody effectively going, I was on your side, but then you made it political. Like, he could be the type of person that goes, hey, I'm a liberal, or I am devoted to liberal causes, but I'm no longer helping those causes because I'm having to devote my time to other shit that is not as important as those causes.
Then he says, tangentially related, 1.56 billion plastic masks ended up in the ocean in 2020 alone. Good work, liberals.
As if liberals were responsible for a billion plastic masks ending up in the ocean. Also, let me guess, if I click on this link, will it take me to another article on your own website? Oh no, it actually went to ABC News. That is surprising. I could have sworn that this was going to take me to another link on your website. But apparently on here, it's estimated that 1.29 billion face masks and 65 billion gloves are being used monthly. Unfortunately, while PPE is a necessary tool, its increased use is having detrimental effects on the environment. Yeah, this is literally just what we would expect. Like, it's bad. It's not a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But this is not the fault of people using masks. This is the fault of people not disposing of masks correctly, not disposing of them in a safe way. Let me go and throw this out there right now. The same people that are irresponsible with how they throw away their masks are the same people who are irresponsible with how they throw away their Coke bottles, with how they throw away their plastic rings that are used to house their individual soda cans. These people who have a bad habit where plastic waste is concerned have that habit across the board. This is a red herring meant to own the libs merely because you want to. Then goes in to say, ain't nobody's business. It wasn't until the sociopic mediocrity that is the entrenched liberal political class in Washington began bullying normal people into wearing masks, staying home, standing 6 feet apart at all times, and mobilizing even less impressive liberal stormtroopers to play the role of the COVID-19 prevention Gestapo. And then finally, propped up the vaccine as the holy grail that would lead us back to normalcy. That I finally began to have an opinion on vaccines. And though I don't know much about the anti-vaxxers, I do know that I am displeased with the way that they have been portrayed by the aforementioned Gitmo-bound media, simply for harboring opinions that are considered non-mainstream. Alright, so here's another smokescreen that is commonly used. Let's say that you are a Holocaust denier, right? And you decide to go on a news station and you say that the Holocaust didn't happen, right? You can do this in a variety of ways. You can say that you don't think that the same amount of people were killed that were historically shown. You can say that, no, the Nazis did not engage in ethnic cleansing at all. It doesn't matter. You can go through and play that card. And if somebody deplatforms you as a result, you then can use the broad generalization, they didn't like me because I harbored an opinion that was not mainstream. You can do that. You can say that for anything. You can say that you want to kill gay people with a rifle and have it be your legal right to hunt them down. And if you do, and somebody deplatforms you for literally arguing in favor of violence against innocent people, you can do the exact same thing. They did not like my opinion. It did not line up with the mainstream social zeitgeist. You can do this. You can do this for functionally any horrific idea at all. It is a catch-all defense that you can use. And because it's a catch-all defense, it is functionally worthless when we are analyzing somebody's rhetoric. If the thing you said can apply in literally all cases, just like when we brought up the Kantian imperative earlier, it is too clean. There will always be 1,000 holes in it. Anyway, he then concludes by, or he's got a little bit before his conclusion. So I decided that because the vile political left, which I despise in the abstract, what does that even fucking mean, wants me to take their coveted vaccine, I will simply not. After the horrifying displeasure of meeting several other militant COVID-19 restriction enforcers over the past year, I've become even more steadfast in my stance. So guys, this is why you should never engage in spite politics. spite politics, which is what this is, it literally forces you to take absurd-ass positions based merely on emotion alone and not on any actual evidence, data, or even moral efficacy. Like, dude straight up admits that he's not doing this because of any of those arguments, like any type of ironclad argument. He literally just wants to piss off liberals.
My newly formed and well-developed opinion on vaccines is this. If those bastards want me to get the jab, I'm not gonna do it, because it annoys them. Perhaps you think I'm being obtuse. I do not care. I've seen too many videos of screaming ninnies losing their minds on people who didn't buy into the mask hype.
Oh, so you literally saw videos of people on the internet which by their very nature are anecdotal and also rare occurrences, because a novel occurrence that is worth filming does not happen that often. Because of these novel occurrences, you've decided to take your broad sweeping position. Okay.
It is impossible to convince me that I am somehow abnormal for refusing the vaccine.
Well, yeah, literally arguing that you want to spite people and then potentially get other people sick or killed? That's abnormal, I would say, just a little bit.
And that ranting pro-mask schizoids in the supermarket are the normal ones.
I love the ableism there. I actually know people who have schizophrenia, and the last thing I'd call them is crazy, especially if they have things under control with medication and therapy. Like, this is like when somebody says Spurg, and it's a jab at autism, as in Asperger's. Like, this just flagrant ableism is stupid. But there's no way to argue against it when you are somebody who engages in spite politics, because your purpose here is not to inform, it's not to make the world a better place for anybody, it's not to even engage in any type of social change. It's literally just to be a stuck-up bitch. That's it.
Perhaps you're not as committed to upsetting the enemy as I am. That is fine. Perhaps you just want to go on a cruise and vacation again. If so, call Bill Crystal or Jenna Goldberg and have your vaccine identification card ready. Godspeed.
Alright, so, again, this is just spite politics. This doesn't get anyone anywhere. Let's go ahead and use cons imperative again. Let's use the categorical imperative for shits and giggles. It's not a perfect framework, but literally none is. Let's use it for fun. Let's say that everybody in the world engaged in spite politics. Everybody's political stances were based entirely on whether or not they would upset the people that they do not like. What kind of a world do we create when everybody operates under that exact imperative? Well, if you're going to be the type of person that calls the left your enemy, then I think you're going to find yourself with literally nothing but enemies in your life. Because everybody's politics will necessarily be about upsetting, at the very least, you. That said, it was mentioned in the chat that I should try using that voice as a Dragon Ball Z announcer, so I guess we'll end with this.
If you have not subscribed to the channel already, you should go ahead and do that. Hit the like button if you haven't when you are watching on YouTube, but if you are watching on twitch.com, make sure to follow. And remember, insert end of video tagline here on the next episode of whatever the fuck this is Z.